Welcome to the Jewelry Journey, exploring the hidden world of art around you. Because every piece of art has a story, and jewelry is no exception.
Welcome to the Jewelry Journey. Today my guest is Bill Harper. Bill is neither an artist nor a jeweler, but he's both. And his mastery has been acknowledged around the world by his pieces being included in museum collections everywhere that you can name. And in 2019, he had a solo exhibition at the Cleveland Institute of Art called The Beautiful and the Grotesque. And that really sums it up. So I'll let Bill take it away. He wants to describe the pieces that he's done during this, I want to say weird, this unusual time we're going through. Bill, go ahead.
Well, actually, I don't know where I'm going when I start a piece. I might know the title before I actually get there. But in November and December of 2018, I started making things. And when I say things, I mean, some are enamels, some are gold pieces, and I start moving them around until I have a feeling that there's a composition that makes sense. And I think when we did the last podcast, I said to you, I had this ridiculous idea of doing a piece called The Tainted Fruit of the Poison Tree.
Okay.
I did.
Oh, wow. Okay. Wow.
So down here is the root system, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a pearl pointing up, which I guess says do not eat. And then the fruit are the two enamels on here.
That'd be beautiful.
You want to see how big it is?
It's gorgeous.
So the next one I worked on, again in pieces, and it was based essentially on the famous Giacometti sculpture that's in the Museum of Modern Art, the Palace at 4 a.m. And I've always loved that piece. So I did The Palace is Empty. And it's inspired by the Giacometti, but obviously it's completely different. And in this case, rather than fruit, these are personages that are escaping from the palace, from the authoritarianism.
Are those enamel there?
Yes.
Okay.
Let me see if I can get them really close.
Okay. Oh, I see.
The third piece I did is actually, it's sort of cute, which is not like me, but then when you know what it is, it loses its cuteness. Duck caught in a thicket. And the thicket is everything we have to put up with environmentally, politically, socially, and we just get caught up. The other title I was thinking of, but I thought it just was not quite heavy enough, was A Sitting Duck. My husband loves the foot on the duck.
That's great. That's great.
Here's a close-up, if I can get it, of the enamel. I guess it's not showing too well.
Yeah, we could see the enamel. I guess we're all sitting ducks, right?
That's right. And this is the smallest one from the series, and it's called Parasite. And this is the main personage trying to escape something that the personage does not want around him. So this is the parasite.
And how did you get that idea?
Watching television.
Okay, it comes from everywhere, right?
Well, my politics are going to be very obvious from this. I feel that, the whole system has become parasitical on one side. And I'm afraid of where it's going. So that's how most of these developed in reaction to my very liberal political views. After that, here's the funny one.
Oh, that's cute. That is great.
And this is, the title of this is The Pompous Charlatan. So guess who it's supposed to be? Got
That-
horns. He is blue instead of being orange. But I did the enamel based on the color of the little bottle, which is, strangely enough, I found it on them on Etsy. They were little sample bottles from Evening in Paris perfume from the 50s.
Wow.
So it is three-dimensional, and this one actually moves. But it's the only, well, I was going to say it's the only one that's rather anthropomorphic, but that's not true.
You want to show us how large that is? I mean, we can see it's large, but how? Oh, that is just spectacular. That is just spectacular.
I think I mentioned before when we talked how I feel that if a woman is going to invest in one of my pieces, she needs to build her wardrobe around the piece and not make the piece simply like it's a branded piece of jewelry that accentuates the shoulder or whatever. You know, my ego considers myself an artist, not just a branded jeweler. And I have ideas behind everything. And I think to be properly shown off, I mean, like what you're wearing now, probably would fit up on your shoulder. But I usually prefer red or black, navy blue, something like that.
That is just gorgeous.
And as I said, this one's kinetic. Then the next one I did is called The Exiled. And I think I've been watching too much YouTube, political stuff, including the rise of Nazism. And that gave me the idea to do something that is where one element is exiled from the group. So that was the idea behind it.
So that's a striped enamel and a sort of abstract on the side.
Yes.
And is that supposed to be a computer keyboard on top or some kind of keyboard?
You know, I hadn't thought about that. Actually, what it's supposed to be is a piece of reflective glass and rhinestones by the yard. But I think you have your idea about a keyboard is probably a good one.
That's my first thought. Look at a keyboard.
And, you know, I've always felt that people can bring their own idea. My pieces are so complex that you can build your own ideas into what they are. And sometimes after I've completed one, I have additional insight into what I was trying to do. Okay, the next, here's a really beautiful one. And it's not so political. This is the Annunciation, which is when the angel or archangel spoke to Mary and she was inseminated by some magical means. So this is the angel. And then if you look really close to the enamel.
Beautiful, just beautiful.
It's got, you know, anatomical details. And that's not something you would usually find in a standard Annunciation from the Middle Ages. Maybe Salvador Dali would have done it. But I've always loved Annunciation paintings, and I decided to take it a little further with this one. And then there's this one.
That's great. That's great. Oh, yes.
Years and years ago, I did a whole series of pieces called La Fleur de Mal, and they were based on the Baudelaire poem about when something reaches its peak and then it starts to go downhill. And I thought of them as flowers, obviously, that, there's a point at which a flower opens up and it's absolutely gorgeous. It's at its height. And then it's just like us. It's all downhill from there. So this is La Fleur de Mal redo.
So, Bill, let me ask you this. I don't know. I know you had sent out an email with photos of some of your pieces, and I don't know if you mentioned it or if somebody mentioned it to you, but they mentioned they thought some of them were dark. It was dark.
It was me. I think you're familiar with my earlier work, which usually has a joie de vivre about it. I don't think these really do. Maybe they're darker in my mind than they come off being to other people. That I can't say, but conceptually, they're much, much darker than my usual work. So then we have this very tall one, which is called Gollum.
Gollum?
And you probably know what a golem is.
Oh, Gollum. Oh, Gollum. Okay.
Yes, in Jewish folklore, a golem was constructed out of mud and other materials in a human form, and then would come alive. And it was very dangerous. He would essentially destroy anything he came close to. Well, this is a Lincoln Lake chain with a pearl down below. Here's a close-up of its face, and he currently resides in the White House. So this will give you.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
Fairly large.
And what is that? Is it a rope of beads or what is that? That's hanging?
Oh no, this is handmade chain.
Oh wow!
Loop and loop chain, and I had it around for years. I had made it probably 25 or 30 years ago for another purpose, and I had a length of it, but it wasn't long enough to use as to hold a pendant. There just wasn't that much, so I cut it in two, and this is what was left.
That's great. That's great.
And then finally, this is a gatherer of souls.
Wow.
This is the soul that's been gathered by whatever good personage does it to try to save, the essence of the person. And this one doesn't have any pearls on it, but it does have this, which is a possum's penis bone. Seriously. Okay. If you've read the catalog essay that Glenn Adamson wrote for
the Cleveland,
the first sentence is, "I don't know what I'm going to do because my cache of penis bones is running out." And no, I did not kill the animal and boil it down. These were readily available in a store shop here in New York that sells butterflies and bones and.
Interesting. Can we see the back of that one? Could we just see it, please? Wow.
This one is very elaborate in the gold.
Which is bigger, the Gollum or that one in terms of height?
Let me see.
Okay, so looks like
Gollum's longer. But the body if it is indeed a body, I thought of it more as a ladder. And it has an immense amount of gold in it to get this roughness. I start out with either very pristine tubing or wire, and then I do my sort of ridiculous, obscene things with the material to make them look very rough. And the concept of roughness in gold jewelry is really not all that prevalent. But my ideas initially came from seeing tomb death masks from Macedonia or Greece or South America. And I loved the way the gold looked because it had had settlement on top of it. So parts of it were very crushed, very rough looking.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's the group of 10. I have a couple more started, but I had to stop the end of August because I had shoulder surgery on my right shoulder.
How is your shoulder now?
It's still sore. My handwriting is still illegible. So it's going to be a long time before I get back into the studio. But I have besides the 10 of these, I have an inventory backlog of about 75 pieces.
Wow.
So it's not as though I have to rush out to do stuff.
Mm-hmm.
My retirement annuity is all the gold.
Now, I don't know where it stands right now. I think you mentioned that you were doing something during New York Jewelry Week. Do you know if you are yet?
I don't know what it is.
Okay.
You know,
Okay.
it's I know what I wanted to do,
Uh-huh.
which I probably shouldn't say. But New York Jewelry Week is just in a state of flux right now.
Well,
So-
it'll be virtual. I mean,
Well, yeah. I had the original idea in doing these was to have a one-person show at a prestigious place of 10 or 12 pieces, all on a theme. Now, I've told you about the theme being these are my quarantine pieces, but if you remember, there was no two were really remotely alike stylistically for the most part. And that was one of the ideas I wanted to do is a great variety of things, but there isn't any place to do it. And I don't think showing work virtually is all that successful for someone who might be interested in work as complex as mine is.
Bill, do you name your pieces before you start or after, and then look at them? Both?
For instance, because I had been mulling around so much how to bring a crazy phrase like the tainted fruit of a poison tree. I mean, that's probably the most far out title I've ever given anything. And I usually name them for some other kind of aspect. But for instance, the exiled one, the title came as it developed because I had all these individual things that I had done. Remember when I told you that in December, I had all these things I was making, and I don't know exactly where they're going to go. I don't do any drawings, as I said. And some people might wonder about that, but I think if I did drawings, I would be stuck with what I drew. And this way, I actually use the materials because I'm not doing a rendering that somebody else makes. You know, I do everything from start to finish. So I can do pretty much whatever I want. And I think with this whole set, I was trying to push boundaries to some extent with the jewelry. I get a little dismayed about how, I don't want to use the word clean, but a lot of jewelry today, artist-made jewelry, is still stuck in constructivism or minimalism. And that definitely is not me. I'm a maximalist. So, you know, I think once people are familiar with my work, they, whenever they see one, they will immediately know that it's mine.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Which, you know, is the hallmark of an artist who's had, I think, successful growth over his career. I've had a 5-year career, And usually I would hear that if you can get 30 years out of a career, you've done really well. So now I'm past the 50th year, and I'm hoping that the tremor I have in my right hand and the problem in the right shoulder won't keep me from doing any more work. But I don't know. And it's not as, the main reason I would want to do work is that it's what kept my sanity during the quarantine. Still have the quarantine. And yet I'm not able to go into the studio and do anything. I could barely write my signature on checks to send them out because the coordination is just not there yet. And I had the surgery the 28th of August. So it's been a while healing, but it's going to be
sounds very frustrating.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, Bill, thank you so much for showing us. Just out of curiosity, did you do any kind of beads or anything?
No, my bead career is over.
Okay.
I figured up how many roughly I had done in my career. And I was amazed that it was about 45, 46 different strings. And they were always very, very laborious to do. And they required a lot of dexterity with my right hand being able to hold the beads while the finishing was being done to make it smooth. And it's just, I can't do it anymore. But that's all right. I've got plenty out there. And it was to the point that I really wasn't enjoying doing them that much.
Well, that's the time to stop. If it's work, if it becomes work, then.
That's right.
Bill, thank you so much for being with us today and for taking the time to explain everything and to show us your beautiful work. Oh my gosh, gorgeous. And I don't know I know your themes from where you were coming from are dark, but looking at the work itself, I can't say there's anything dark about it.
Well, I think that's probably for the best. The darkness was what inspired me to go this far in both size and complexity of construction, because these are far more complex for the most part than anything I had done in the past. And that was one of the things I wanted to try to do, build in the ultimate complexity of construction.
And that's what's kept your career going is that you keep pushing your boundaries.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. I think that the phrase that best describes my work is something I read about Persian rugs a long time ago. And that is, the more you look, the more you see, and the more you see, the more you want to look.
Well, that's certainly true of the work you showed us. So once again, thank you so much for everything, and good luck with your shoulder. And we hope it continues to heal quickly that you get back in the studio as soon as possible. And to everybody listening today, that's it for the Jewelry Journey. Thank you so much for being with us. And please join us next time when we'll have another jewelry industry professional sharing their experience and expertise that can help you move your career forward. Thanks so much for listening.
Thank you, Sharon.
Thank you again for listening. Please leave us a rating and review so we can help others start their own jewelry journey.